This is going to be an oil painting walkthrough of a video game scene. I've been doing a lot of these this year, just some of the classic RPGs that I used to play when I was younger. So I'm just going to walk through the process on this one. This is based on Final Fantasy VI, and what I'm doing is roughing out with a loose paint, thinned down with linseed oil, kind of a middle hue and value of the basics of what the scene is. This is just kind of free-handed, just roughing out basic shapes, where things should be, where the subject should be. This is a couple of the characters, Celes, which is like a warrior general lady from the game, one of the protagonists, and a hilarious villain called Ultros, which is like an octopus. He's kind of a comedic villain, but you fight him a few times in the game, and there's a scene where you fight him in an opera house, which is kind of one of the classic scenes from Final Fantasy VI. So I wanted to do something with that. I had some struggles with composition on this one, just trying to figure out what exactly I was going to do here. So roughing it out, I kind of played around with a couple of different concepts. I really wanted a couple of the other characters. There's one thief guy named Locke, and there's another kind of adventurer dude named Setzer that I wanted to try to put in here, but frankly I couldn't figure out how to arrange them in a way that makes sense. Originally I was so this is kind of the concept with her on a balcony looking down at the villainous octopus, but I wanted to put the others, I thought about putting them maybe behind the octopus, like ready to fight him or something, but I couldn't get it. And you see I have a little character next to the octopus kind of behind. That was originally, I think, going to be Locke, and it was too small. I couldn't make it, like, how do I make this character recognizable here? I couldn't make it work. So I abandoned that partway through, and you'll see in the video, in this time lapse, where I'm eventually just going to paint over that character. But overall, the octopus and the protagonist, though, at least, I think turned out really well. I was able to get them in position correctly. And I've got her, I kind of had to work through some of the features, because she was, like, even in this setup, she's kind of small. It's kind of a limitation of working on 12 by 12 oil painting paper. Just didn't have a whole lot of room for expression, so that becomes a challenge with these sometimes. But just kind of stepping back to the walkthrough, like, once I had the basic outline, then I just started jumping into specific shapes, like sort of color shapes, like looking at kind of, here's the dark shape, mixing up a color and just finding everywhere that made sense to put that color, blending up and down, a little lighter, a little darker, just kind of exploring my palette. Honestly, one of the most fun things about painting is doing that, is just finding the color spots. It's almost like, in a way, color by number. I mean, it's a little more complicated than that, or a lot more complicated maybe, but like just kind of finding the splotches and just putting them where you think they should be is just extremely fun. That's one of the great things about painting. I find it very relaxing. So, just continuing to do that. And as you build those splotches, like this painting, I think maybe took 4 hours total, 3.5 maybe, but just over the course of that multiple hour session, just you splotch and splotch and splotch and splotch, and it just fills the page, and you find, wow, those splotches, my plan has filled in even more. And you kind of take steps back and look at what you've done. Are the splotches making sense? Do I need to shift what I'm doing? And just, that's kind of like an oversimplification of the process, but building it out that way it works. You practice and practice and practice, and eventually you get better at building it out that way. So overall, this was a really fun piece. I really like the end result. One of the things, I mentioned just sort of the composition and arranging characters. Sometimes I'm just limited in that way. I can't get everything I wanted into a piece, so there are compromises to that. Another thing that's interesting is I tried a different camera app this time, Blackmagic camera. I've been using my Apple just basic camera for a long time, like the multiple years that I've been painting and doing these time lapses, but I found over the last year and a half, the quality of my videos has just taken a huge nosedive. They're a little blurrier, they're less focused, and I'm just not great with camera settings, so it's been a little disappointing with the iPhone, like how that camera app has, in my mind, degraded and just kind of given me worse videos. So trying some different, I just researched a little bit and people recommended this Blackmagic cam. So this is the first video that I've done with that. I think the video quality is a little better, but certainly curious what the impression is from anyone who sees this video. Like, does it look okay? I know lighting is an issue too. Like, if your lighting is poor, then your video quality is going to suffer as well. But I think this one is a little better. I think that the quality is a little better. The focus is better. Just the being able to see some of the details in the video, I think, has improved a bit. So I'm going to keep using this new camera and see if it continues to improve the quality. So that's all I have for this one. If anyone has any questions, definitely always glad to chat. And that's all I have for this one. Hope to see you for the next video. Thanks.